Welcome to the Bizinga Downtown podcast, where we connect people with great businesses. Today, I got a question for you. Have you ever wanted to get good reviews for your business? And do you value good reviews? So today's guest is from Feedback to Reviews, JR Prentice. You just call him JR for short. And JR, welcome.
Nice to be here, JD.
So we're going to talk about online reviews and what it takes to get online reviews and how important they might be. So obviously I have a little part of this, so this will be a fun conversation. This will be a fun conversation. Hey, tell me about it, JR. How important are online reviews?
Online reviews help you get found and be chosen. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you are, who you do business with, whatever, you have to be chosen. And when it comes to reviews and online, that's the most important piece of the pie. Other than being found, you have to be chosen. And that's what we concentrate on. That's what we help businesses get to that point. And then in the end of the day, you know, the more times they're chosen, the more money they're going to make.
So getting reviews, you know, I always say, you know what I say, right? I always say it's not about the review, it's about what you do, right? So when we get reviews, I think feedback reviews makes it really, really easy for people to obtain online reviews, and for those customers of all these businesses to leave a review on Google or Facebook or wherever it might be. Any insight to that?
Yeah. When it comes to a business, there's two things that they think of when it comes to reviews. A, I can't get them. And B, I'm going to get bad reviews. So
excuse.
That is an excuse. But that's their mindset. So when we approach them, they still have that little anxiety of, is it going to work? If it does work, is it going to create extra work for me? And it doesn't. Our platform is automated, and we help people get reviews in a very easy way. The second piece of what we do is we also make it easy for the customer to leave the review. There's a lot of companies out there that actually manually send emails out. They send the links, and they'll tell people to go sign up for Google or Gmail or whatever, and it make it very hard for the customer. Ours is not hard.
So leaving a review is easy. And leaving feedback is easy also.
That's correct.
Through the platform. I think the big thing with feedback to reviews that has, you know, it's evolved over time, but it's really evolved into where it's a done for you solution. You're like you said, hey, you know, business owners don't have time. There's concerns that this is going to create more work, and do I really want to do that and spend all this extra time? But the reality is there is no time to spend, because what do you do, JR? You do it all for them, don't you?
Yeah, everything's done in the background. Our whole pitch is we let you maintain business as usual, and we work in the background. We're not going to create extra work for you, but we are going to make your job of getting the reviews easier. And then there's some other stuff we do after the fact that becomes even more powerful. It's like the sharing of the reviews.
You know, so sharing the reviews. So let's talk about your 5-day proof of concept first. Let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about all the great stuff this platform does, because that can get confusing, right?
Very confusing. Yeah, we try to minimize what we show them, and the reason we do that is we don't want them to get overwhelmed, number one. Number two, everybody's day is pretty busy. As business has gone here the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years, everybody's really cut back, and they have less staff, so the staff is taxed more. And the first thing they think is when we talk about this is, how am I going to manage this?
It's kind of like the if we're going to work together, or how are we going to work together, right?
Yes.
I mean, if the if is the question, then business needs to understand that this is probably pretty important. I mean, we can go through the statistics. You know, 78% of people trust an online review as much as a personal recommendation. Mm-hmm. Anything over 3 months is devalued so now we're talking about velocity. Last year or 2 years ago, the average person read 5 online reviews before making a decision, and last year that went up to 7. The funny thing is, when I look at that last stat, I see a lot of companies that don't even have 7 reviews online.
Oh, I know. Most of them don't. Some of them don't even show up. And if they do, they have 0 reviews. So when you're looking at a search on Google and you do a search, the top 3 shows on a local basis. So let's say one guy has 10, one guy has 20, and one guy has 0. Who do you think is the first opportunity to call?
Yep. And they're going to read some of those reviews, right? That's
they will,
what
and they read
says.
between the lines. So you may have a few bad ones in there, but generally they're looking for people that have the most reviews, and so they're going to start there. And what I do on any product that I buy, I go look at the reviews, and I always go look at the ones that are negative first and say, what are they really saying? Is it a gripe, or is it real, or whatever? But they do read reviews. My son, 17 years old, we went to Chicago a couple years ago, and he said, I want to go in this Adidas store. I go, what do you, he goes, they have really nice people. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, I checked their reviews.
Hey.
Miss Sprecher, how are you? Lives in the neighborhood.
Liz in the neighborhood. Okay, so JR has friends down here in downtown Indianapolis. They're knocking on the window. That was a very pleasant deal. That was great. You can knock on the window too, buddy. That's awesome. Is that Butler? You got a Butler shirt on? Awesome.
Yes.
So, all right. So 5-day proof of concept. How does that work? So I'm a business. You've approached me, and what's my options here?
Yeah, the goal of the 5-day proof of concept is to really show you that we can get you reviews. So what we try to do is we get your last 30 days of sales, and we will put them in our platform, and we run them through it. And on the basic, what the reviews actually do is it's a yes or no question. Would they recommend you? It's yes or no. So if they answer yes, we take them to the review sites that we've chosen for you. You get to pick the ones that you want. Usually it's Google, Facebook, depending on the category. But we can do Avvo for attorneys. We can do TripAdvisor. I mean, there's a lot of
Health
different
grades.
stuff. Health grades. I mean, there's almost 200 review sites that you can take somebody to. Angie's List. But we take them to the review sites that they've chosen, and they'll leave a review. On the people that answer no, we're going to give you that feedback immediately. So on day 1, on this 5-day proof of concept, the first batch is going to be the people that are less than satisfied. So, but day 2, all the people that left reviews on day 1, we go out and find, and we bring them back into the platform. At the end of every day, we always send a recap of the reviews. So on day 2, at the end of day 2, they're going to get the Google reviews they got on day 1. Then they start to see value. They realize I didn't have to do anything, and I'm getting Google reviews, and they're good. Day 3, they're going to get a few more Google reviews, and usually by day 3 or day 4, 2 or 3 things are going to happen. A, they're really sold. B, they're going to call us and say, hey, they'll start asking questions, and those are pretty much buying questions. You know, they're satisfied with the product. They want to know more. So we really just say, hey, let's sell this on day 5. So on day 5, we call them up, and 90% of the people that we call that we've done a 5-day proof of concept on actually buy. And the reason they buy is they've seen the product, they've seen how it works, and they've also seen how easy it is. They didn't do anything in those 5 days other than get us a list.
So I think that what happens is there's a paradigm shift or a learning for a business owner, a leadership team, or whoever it might be. There is that fear of putting yourself out there.
Oh, yeah.
There is a huge fear with that. And there's a huge value to online reviews. We know that. And what happens is when they see how easy this works and how tame, I use the word tame it is, everything works, right? Everything is very coherent, very in line, and everything works really well. There's an emotional, I don't want to say an emotional change, but there's a learning involved in that to where they get, they become more comfortable with that.
There's a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
A, this is not hard, and B, it works.
Yeah. So, all right. We've done this proof of concept. And by the way, anybody should go to the website, feedbacktoreviews.com, and fill out the 5-day proof of concept.
Yeah, it's actually a test drive link up in the top part.
Test drive.
Drive.
Tickets for a test drive, guys.
Yeah, it's truly a free test drive. We don't need any credit card information.
We don't need
any
access to a
financial
platform.
information. All we need is the name of your business, and we'll go search it and run the deal. But it's really that simple. And that's this way you can try it out. We truly believe that if our product does not work for you, if it's not a good fit, we don't want you as a customer because we're not here to take your money. All of our contracts, short term, all month to month. We really want to make sure that it works for you and it works for us and we have a good relationship. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We're not here to take advantage of people. We're not here to make you sign a contract before you even have tried the product out, which a lot of places do. A lot of them will do a 30-day trial and you get a credit card, and then day 31 you forget, and they've already billed you for a whole year. We truly want to make this work for you.
And in comparing other platforms or processes like that, many times it's more of you do it yourself. Here's our platform.
Yeah, we do. We set it all up, completely set it up. You don't have to do anything. After you sign up, we will always be available. We're available pretty much 24/7, 7 days a week, holidays, weekdays. Just give us a call. But we really want to make sure that it works for you. And any questions that you have, you just call us and we'll do it. But we set it all up. Try to make it easy for the client because there's so many nuances within the platform. If you don't know, it's just a little more complicated. So we do it every day. We set it up and then we show you how to work it. But really, just putting people in the system.
And what is the best case scenario? Any stories in the 5 days of what's happened? I got a couple. I'm sure you'll probably use the same ones.
We do have the clients that were in Arkansas. They had they have 3 locations.
But they had 18. Yeah, but they had 18.
They had 16 Google reviews. Yeah. And we did a 5-day proof of concept. Now they have a lot of volume on a daily basis, so they gave us a pretty decent list for the 30 days. On day, I think 3 or 4, they were almost 150 Google reviews.
16 lifetime to 150 Google reviews.
Yeah, lifetime in 3 days. They became kind of a sold customer on day 2.
Yeah, it was a great success story. Like you said, they have 3 locations and they're all on.
And nobody, it's a dermatologist. Nobody in the area is even close to them. And they still use us. And the reason they use us is, you still want the velocity, but the sharing of the reviews, which we really haven't gotten into. We share the reviews socially to Facebook, to Twitter, to Google Plus, and to LinkedIn. And their comments to us is they actually get more business off of the sharing of the reviews because the people are leaving the review and they get shared and people see it and they're getting business from that. I mean, the Google reviews are still helping them.
So we should explain that a little bit. So if you get an online review, the platform pulls that review in.
Yep.
And let's say it's negative. Okay, so somebody went to Google, they just had a difference of opinion. Now what happens? Do we share that? Does the system
No, we don't share that. They do have an opportunity to address that client within the platform. We don't share that review. It is a Google review. It's going to go out in Google and get posted, but we don't share it. But they do have an opportunity within our platform to respond to the Google review and connect with the customer. And on Google, even though that's a bad review, you can talk to the client, work it out, recover the client, and they can go in and change the review. So it gives them an opportunity to correct a bad situation, recover the client. It takes a lot of money to get a client. So to let one review, let that client go away is kind of foolish. You at least should call them up and discuss with them what happened. And if you can correct it, correct it. We don't recommend, engaging in an online, contest where you're trying to say you're right and they're wrong.
We call it a pissing match.
Yeah, urinary Olympics is a good term for it. But it gives you an opportunity to recover the client because one bad client can actually cost you a lot of business.
So the platform shares this automatically.
The good reviews, not the bad
reviews.
So we're going to share it to Facebook. We share it to the news feed of Facebook. We also create a tab over on the left-hand side that has a feed, so they can actually leave a review on the feed. The feed's live. So we share to news feed. We share it to Twitter. We share it to Google Plus, and we share to LinkedIn. And all those shares from when you're trying to get found locally, those shares come into the play of how you get found. I think 4% of the how you get found locally is based on social, and then the 13% is on reviews. So
social signals.
Social signals, yep.
That's what it is. So awesome explanation. I think what's really, really interesting here is probably where we're going to go. And this is a tough topic to talk about, but let's talk about SEO a little bit.
Yeah, SEO. SEO is kind of oversold in my opinion. The old SEO was, how do I rank organically? And organic, there's 3 spots on a search. The very top is pay-per-click. The second section is local maps. And the next section is organic. And in today's world, most of the people are on their smartphone. So they don't get down to the SEO portion, the organic portion. They stay up in maps or they stay up in the pay-per-click. Maps, I think pay-per-click is probably about 40% of search. And then the maps part, which they only show the top 3 now, is probably 35%. So 70% of what you do is going to be in that top portion. And that's where you want to be. And that's what we help clients do. If you ever go online and just go to SEO Moz, you can check out what the items are that affect local rank, and you'll see them. I think there's about 8 items. We actually assist with 17% of them with the reviews and the social signals.
And completely controllable.
Yeah, you're controlling it.
Social media can be tough.
Yep.
This whole SEO world can be tough. I always talk about the triangle. We probably should talk about the triangle.
Yeah, the B zone. We call it the B zone.
The B zone. If you want to be in the B zone, take a triangle. Top of the triangle is be found.
Yeah.
Or be chosen. I'm sorry. Be chosen.
Be chosen. And what do we mean when we say be chosen? Well, when you do a search, the only thing that's on that page is black and white print. You're compared with everybody else, but the one differentiator is the number of reviews you have and the rating that you have. And that's where the be chosen comes in. We help you be chosen as a client because you have more reviews than everyone else. The second piece of it is be found. And be found is the local maps. That's where it helps you up in rank as we over time. The reviews will help you, the sharing will help you, and it'll help you get in the top 3.
So let's talk about that for a second. So when we share things to Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and LinkedIn, pardon me, man, they have, maybe we have to post that out. Man, when you have social your social posts going on to those 4 locations, you're actually building a link back to a micro page. Mm-hmm. So there's a link there that points back to the micro page, and that is also where that review or that social information is shared. That is building links. So part of SEO is links, and that's part of driving that micro page, which is actually what ranks on Google and assists. It's another piece to the puzzle, mm-hmm. because when you talk about the maps are different than the micro page on the SEO standpoint, but the maps really have citations are part of that too, and that becomes a very big citation. Then what happens is that page can also rank in the reviews as just if you ever go to a company and you search, let me see feedback reviews, right? You put the word mm-hmm. reviews behind it in Google, you're going to see that page show right up.
Yep.
So we've got be chosen, be found, and be heard. And all of those assist each other in a unique way. So what feedbacks and reviews does is it does not replace social media, but it enhances it.
Correct.
Doesn't replace other things that you may work on with your Google listing and local rank, but it assists it in a very appropriate way. Yeah. So one of the things we always talk about in this dynamic of digital marketing is things being in alignment. So it'll always be in alignment. There's nothing there to...
And basically what we do is we help you achieve a positive online presence, be it through being found, being chosen, and being heard. And that's the most important thing. When you go online, I always tell people this, and sometimes you got to paint a picture for them. When you go online and do a search, it's a lot different than them coming in your building. There's no receptionist. There's no sales staff to recover that client. There's no nice manicured building. All they see is that print, black and white, and your name, and then reviews is what's the difference. And that's really what nobody sees it because they don't live it. They're in their little silo, they're in their building, and they're not paying attention to what's online. I do searches on our business all the time to see where we are. And that's what everybody should be doing on their business. Where do I rank if somebody types in X? Am I in the top 3? If I am, how do I compare to reviews? And that's really what you need to manage online. It's the first step of probably 80% of all purchases. People go online, they search the company, and see who they are.
Totally agree.
It is. I mean, it's more and more.
Totally agree.
And it's done on a phone now. So they're going to look at the pay-per-click, and they're going to look at the maps. That's all they're going to look at. And on the phone, it only shows the top 3. And also on the phone, if you click more, it still doesn't show you as many that's on a PC. But probably 70 to 80% of the searches now are on phones. So you got to make sure you're up there. You got to make sure you got reviews, and you got to make sure they're positive.
I mean, always do what's in control, what you're in control of.
Exactly.
Right? Well, there's no reason to not do what you're in control of. There are SEO factors that Google's Google, and it is what it is.
It is.
So let that be what it is. So, all right. So we're doing reviews. Had a great conversation with Valerie. I did an interview with Valerie, an attorney out of
Del Grasso?
an attorney out of Las Vegas, and she helps small businesses and things like that. And we had a great conversation about testimonials, and I'm sure it probably changed your mind a little bit on what kind of testimonials I put on my website. Mm-hmm. You have any paradigm shifts on that?
Make sure that they're full, meaning that you have the whole testimonial. Don't take snippets. Make sure that you state who it's with, Google, Facebook, whatever. What her whole concept was: don't take snippets and then go sell that in an ad or something, because really you're not telling the whole story. You should let the customer tell the whole story. You should post it, and that's what you really should do. And that's what we do. We create a news feed that can be streamed to your website that is full. It discloses who what was said, if there's any responses to it, and then who the source was. And that's what you got to be careful of.
Yeah, I see a lot of websites out there with just testimonials and just snippets of it. And legally, that's probably a danger zone.
Yes.
I really never thought about it until she said it.
Yeah, a little eye-awakening.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an aha moment for me. I was like, wow, that's never thought about it that way. And there's fair consumer acts and things like that kind of highlight this. And not to get into a legal conversation, because I'm definitely not a lawyer, but the reality is law is all about interpretation.
Yeah, and you don't want to mislead people with stuff that's not fully true.
Right. So did your mom leave that review? You should probably disclose that.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So the second side of that is the video testimonials. We see that nowadays, right? Where do you think that's heading?
I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, when just like this, we do podcasts. My personal opinion, I'm not into podcasts as much as you are. So my opinion is people want to see their faces. Just like on TV, you're watching one of the news channels and they have all the different screens of the faces. When somebody says something, I want to see what the other guy's face is, because that's 9 times out of 10. That tells a lot more than the silence on the radio. So I like faces. I like response. And when you do a video, you get to see the people. And the other thing about the video here, too, is let's say I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see a review from Joe. But if I saw Joe's picture, I would know Joe quicker. And it's the same thing, when you do advertising. You always talk to owners about doing advertising, put their face in the picture. It's the same thing. It's quick recognition, and then they'll pay attention to it. So I think videos are going to get bigger and bigger.
And I think it's going to be bigger. I mean, I definitely, maybe a different spin on it. It's definitely going to get bigger as technology and the ease of accomplishing that, right? Doing video editing is not the most pleasant or easiest thing in the world to do.
It's going to be tough on that. It's a lot more labor intensive.
Right.
It's easy to do that. It's easy to send a request out. They send you the stuff and you post it. So I think over time that's going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think I agree. So I was interviewed a couple weeks ago. I think it was last week. It was a week ago today. We talk about reviews and kind of where it's going. Is it getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? Is it diminishing? And we had talked about websites or review sites like Indeed and Glassdoor, where employees can review companies. Just go on there and do it right now if you want it, right?
Yeah.
How does this factor in? It's kind of changed. It's a whole different dynamic.
Well, as an employer, it is going to get big. It's going to determine what kind of quality of people that you get, because just like a product, more and more people are going to those sites to say, hey, do I really want to work there? Because the employees, as they leave, either good reviews or not. And we have one company that I'm not even going to mention the name.
They probably appreciate that.
Yes. But they have a great product, but their employees hate working there. And it's high turnover. And I think as things go forward, everything is just more transparent. Everything's quicker to do. And reviews, you can go into Target right now and you can scan the product, and then you can look at the reviews right there on your phone with your Target app and look at the review. Reviews are not going away.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense app too. We kind of talked about that internally, right? We were kind of talking about that. We've had a lot of conversations about kind of those product reviews versus company reviews. Even Best Buy, right? Best Buy, big company. They ask for reviews on their products, and then they ask for reviews on their their company, their service. When I think about Glassdoor and I think about Indeed and I think about, as a business and you're hiring employees, you want the best caliber employees.
You do.
You want the best, right? How are you possibly going to attract the best if your employee's opinion of you is not that great?
Yeah, you're going to have to change what you do.
So that's the final thing I want to talk about, change, right? Change and change and change. There's a story out there. I shared this before with you. I mean, I know you know the story very well, but take a company that sells dog food. And the owner of the company had someone come in and redo the packaging, and it was beautiful. I mean, and they did a great job, and it was very aesthetically pleasing, and it was ready to be purchased, right? And the product didn't sell. Then he had a marketing company come in, and they did videos and YouTube videos, and all these puppies are on the screen bouncing around, and they're like, "Oh, they look so beautiful." And guess what? The product didn't sell. So he asked his accountant, his financial advisor, "What should I do?" And he says, "Well, you need to give some discounts and coupons and some free trials." So they did that, and the product didn't sell. And so he talked to his wife, who had a friend in digital marketing, and she said, "You need to be more transparent. You need to get out there." So they hired reps. I mean, think about the dollars we're talking about here, right? They hired reps to go into your PetSmarts and places like this to give out samples and to communicate and to share the good news about this great dog food. And it didn't sell. And as he's sharing this story, he's at a dinner party, and the person that's on the other end of the table said, "Hey, I think I can help you." And the guy's exact statement was, "I'm ready to give up. Okay, I'm ready to give up." And the guy said, "Hey, I'd like to help you out. Let me see what I can do." And he said, kind of whatever, right? He just kind of threw his hands in the air and said whatever. As he goes back to, so the guy goes with his wife to the grocery store one day, a couple days later, and he said, "Hey, honey, go do the shopping. I'm going to go over here and stand in the dog aisle for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever." And as he's standing there, there's some things about retail, eye level, some things like that. So he was kind of looking at some end caps, and he noticed that everything was pretty in line, right where it should be. And the first person comes into the dog food aisle, and they look right dead smack at the product, and they pick something else. And this behavior happens about 3 or 4 more times. And so an older lady comes in. He describes it as an older lady, and she practices the same behavior. So he walks up and he says, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And she says, "Sure. What's going on?" He says, "Hey, I noticed you were looking at this dog food. Was there a reason why you didn't buy it? Why would you pick that dog food? It looks good. It's whatever." And she said, "I think I got a sample of it, or one time I had a coupon," which would make sense, right? "My dog didn't eat it." So kind of pop your hands together and rub them together, problem solved. So he goes back to the company, and he says, the owner, and he says, "Hey, I think you need to work with your recipe. The dogs don't like it." The dog food sells great now. And the reality of that whole story, it's a pretty long story, is nobody listened to their customers.
Yeah, they didn't even ask the customer.
Right, they didn't even ask the customer. So if you're not willing to ask a customer and willing to change, you're probably not going to have a lot of success, not just with reviews, but with a lot of different things. And I think the same thing goes with employees. Mm-hmm. Some of your best feedback and your best results come from your employees, and what's really happening, what the temperature might be, and things like that. So keep that in mind, that you have to be willing to change. I think that guy was willing to change all the way through.
He just didn't know the answer.
He just didn't know the answer. And everything that those other people did, the YouTube guys, the packaging guys, they did a great job for their discipline, but nobody asked the customer. And that's probably the first and foremost thing that we all have to remember. So think that through, guys. I challenge anybody to take a 5-day proof of concept with feedback to reviews. It's a very simple process. I mean, you go to the test drive page, you put in your company name, your company's phone number, and your zip code, and I think that's pretty much about it. They'll walk you through it. You're not going to have access right then and there because our team actually does the setup and gets it done. JR, thanks for coming downtown.
I do want to mention one more thing that
for it.
Why we're different than what this guy just went through, this dog guy. He got the response from the customer, and then all of a sudden the stuff started selling. What did he do with those reviews that he got? I worked in the car business 30 years, and we had incentives tied to how we managed our service customers and how we managed our sales customers. And it had to be a very high response rate. And we had tons and tons of great reviews, and we did nothing with them other than talk about them in a meeting. Say, hey, you're getting great.
You had bonuses tied to it.
Yeah, but what we do differently is we take those good reviews and we let your customers tell your story. And so what I mean by that is when we share those reviews to Google and Facebook, those customers, that's going to be your best advertisement of anything you've ever done. They tell your story, and who are they telling it to on Facebook? They're telling it to their friends. Facebook is the largest referral network out there. I always say it's a referral network, the old word of mouth on steroids. That's the second piece of what we do that people don't realize what we do. That's probably just as important as getting the reviews.
Yeah, I don't think steroids is even enough to say it anymore. I mean, 1.8 billion users.
Yeah,
it's astronomical numbers. And what a lot of people really don't. There's still business owners out there. We'll keep this conversation. We'll highlight it, but we'll talk about it on a different show. But really, what is the power of social media? Right? What does social media really provide from a business standpoint? And we could talk for days about Facebook. And again, it goes right back to what the example is. If you're not willing to take a free trial, a free test drive, the idea of maybe experiencing something different, you're hurt. I don't know why you wouldn't, but I guess that's something internal.
Yeah, what we will provide for you is an easy way. My elevator pitch is we concentrate on the 95% of the people that like you. We make it easy for you to ask them a review. We make it easier for them to leave a review. That's the first step. Second step is the ones that are less than positive, we give you an option or an opportunity to try to recover them.
And then, JR, thanks for coming down, bud. Appreciate
it. Make sure you fill out the 5-day proof of concept. It actually says test drive on our website. It's free, no credit card required, no financial information required. And at the end of 5 days, we'll be talking to you and hopefully selling you.
Perfect.
Take care.